Hey, how's it going? I'm Colin Greco.
And I'm Austin Hankinson, and welcome to Voorhees now. Coming up on this episode, Colin's dad is going to give us a little taste of his passion for music, and more specifically, guitars.
And then Patrick and Reagan check in with Officer Plimpton, one of our Lebanon Township police officers who's got a passion for the outdoors.
And finally, Bret talks with Voorhees astronomy teacher Mr. Hanley about his experiences at the Kennedy Space Station. Voorhees now starts now.
First, here's a piece I covered with my father and his musical tastes. Check it out, Dad. Say your name, please.
Glenn Greco.
And what is your passion? What do you enjoy doing?
When I'm working, my passion is playing all kinds of different instruments.
Such as?
I'm playing banjo right now, but I can play guitar, mandolin, and bass.
How long have you been playing music for?
Since I was about 10.
And how'd that happen?
I just liked it, enjoyed doing it. Started playing sax, and then I started playing other instruments and started playing with kids all around the town.
What instrument do you prefer to play?
Right now, the banjo, but I love playing guitar.
Alright.
I've been playing that the longest.
What kind of guitar playing do you prefer? Electric or acoustic or both?
I used to be electric, but now primarily play acoustic. The electric's really loud.
So tell me about the guitars behind you.
These are guitars I've been collecting my whole life. I try to use a different guitar depending on what type of music I'm playing and where I'm playing. The banjos I've been collecting lately for the last 10 years. I got another one downstairs. The Paramount's one of the oldest instruments I have. It's from 1923. And the mandolin's pretty new. I gotta get it restrung. As far as the electrics up here, the Fender I got when I was in high school, and the Gibson is probably the older, probably the nicest one I have. I got that in the early 80s, probably 8th grade or something like that. The one I'm holding is my favorite one to play. It's the Martin, and it sounds great for everything: bluegrass, country, rock and roll, anything you want to play, even classical if you want to play that stuff. The Fender's cool for rock and roll, blues, and pretty neat for country and western because it's got a palm bender, a B bender on it, and a G bender, which makes this music kind of cool to sound when it's played really loud.
What would your advice be for someone who wants to pursue a music career?
A music career? You'd have to be really good at the instrument or a couple of instruments. A lot of time, a lot of dedication, and not just play one type of music, but play all kinds of music.
Yep, hit it. Back to the show.
And now back to the morning show.
See? Alright, so you're done now.
Good.
Everyone has a passion in some way, shape, or form. My father's instance is music. What is something you're passionate about? I'm Colin Greco.
Thanks, Mr. Greco. Now let's send it over to this brief sit-down with Lebanon Township Officer Robert Plimpton, who, when he's not on patrol, is taking in the outdoor life here in Hardin County.
So, I should have had you introduce yourself too, but it's fine. Patrick and I were given the opportunity to sit down with Officer Plimpton and talk to him about his passion for the outdoors. Whatever you want to say.
My name is Robert Plimpton. I am a patrolman with Lebanon Township Police Department.
Officer Plimpton likes to hike, hunt, and fish in the outdoors, along with riding around in his 2 Jeeps in the beautiful outdoors.
Everything from hiking, fishing, hunting, off-roading, just spending time getting fresh air in the sunshine.
What exactly are you hunting for?
When I'm hunting, what do I hunt for? It depends. A few times a year, specifically in the fall/winter, I hunt white-tailed deer. In the early fall is small game, so pheasant season, depending on how nice the days are and if I have a day off. And springtime is turkey season. Everybody loves a fresh gobbler.
Oh yeah.
What is the best fishing spot? I've had quite a few good holes over the years. My top spots I cannot disclose for obvious reasons. But the Musconetcong River is very good. There's multiple holes on that. The South Branch River is also very good, depending on where you go.
What kind of Jeeps do you have?
What kind of Jeeps do I have? I have a 2012 JK, which is a Jeep Wrangler, two-door. It is Dozer orange on a 2.5-inch lift with 35-inch tires. And then I have a 2001 XJ, which is a Jeep Cherokee, which is silver and black, and it's lifted 2-inch lift on 31-inch tires.
What's your favorite temperature and time?
What is my favorite time and temperature to hike? There's really not a bad time to hike, except for wintertime when there's ice and stuff. But I would say spring and fall is the best. You get to see some of the beautiful colors of fall, and temperature, as long as it's not below freezing, is always a good time to go hiking.
Not bad. All right. Now that we know what Officer Plimpton's passion is, what's your passion? From Voorhees Now, this is Reagan and Patrick Milam.
Thanks, Officer Plimpton. And finally, we've got Bret, who's reaching for the stars and is focused on the Kennedy Space Center.
This is the Kennedy Space Center, where greatness and astonishing accomplishments have been achieved through the efforts of NASA and now SpaceX. In July of 1958, NASA was established, and then in 1967, the Kennedy Space Center was formed and partnered with NASA to make the most successful space program in the world. The Kennedy Space Center, or Cape Canaveral, aka the Cape, has been a site where hundreds of spacecrafts have launched. Millions of visitors have watched the launchings from Cocoa Beach ever since the first takeoff in 1958 of Explorer 1, which was the first successful launch satellite by the US. Many other programs, such as the Mercury program, Project Gemini, the Apollo program, and the Space Shuttle program, have been huge learning curves for NASA over a 45-year span. Now, a new company called SpaceX, ran by Elon Musk, is collaborating with NASA and will be launching the Falcon Heavy at the end of January. Mr. Hanley has experienced one of these incredible launchings.
First launch I witnessed was once again in 2005. I was lucky enough to go down, and my in-laws had grown up in Florida. So they knew the best places to go and actually watch a launch, because they had watched some of the Gemini and Apollo missions when they were kids going up to Cocoa Beach. So they were the ones who told me, this is where you go, this is where you park, and then you just walk out onto the beach and look to the north. I watched a satellite being launched from there, and I was lucky enough to time it that I was able to watch the final shuttle mission launch. The Atlantis. So I saw the launch of the final shuttle. I saw another one go off that was taking cargo up to the International Space Station. So it was just basically a pod full of food and water and other necessities. Not that it really mattered. It looked like an amazing launch. It didn't really matter what they were launching up. All the locals would tell you that you really had to be there for the 60s to see the Saturn V go off. Compared to the Saturn V, the smaller rockets that they're using for low Earth orbit to get to the ISS are much smaller. I almost wish I could play hooky and go down at the end of the month for the SpaceX Falcon X launch, because that's the rockets are getting larger and larger again. Not quite as big as the Saturn V, but they're getting close. Elon Musk is really grabbing onto new designs, new rocket designs, and new use of technology. It always works really well when you're building a new vehicle. You get to use the most modern equipment, where something like the shuttle was almost stuck in its design from the 1970s, so it was very difficult to update. And he's someone who's doesn't seem to be afraid of taking chances. with new and radical designs. I'm sure there were a lot of people when he told them he was actually going to try and land that first stage under power vertically back on the launch pad, probably told him that he was out of his mind. I'm pretty sure that came up in a couple of the conversations. The Falcon Heavy is ready to launch. It's scheduled to launch at the end of the month. They did a live fire test of the engines just a few days ago, where it was the first time they fired all the engines at once. And as far as I can tell, it was a successful test. And the rumor has it that it's unconfirmed, but the internet's awash with rumors, that there is one of Tesla's Roadsters is in the cargo section of the Falcon Heavy, and that Musk is planning on putting it into orbit around Mars. Whether that's true or not, I guess we'll find out.
And if you want to find out more about SpaceX and their other projects, visit spacex.com.
And that's all we've got for this episode. Stay tuned next week because we're giving away a pair of concert tickets to go see Taylor Swift this summer, and we'll tell you how you can win them. Have a great week!